Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. I'm going to let you all land. Say hi so we know you're here. Say hi to my mommy.
Hello.
We're going to give everyone just a second to drop in. Ma. All right, so this is my mom's first live. Yay. Give her some love. Show us the hearts.
Oh, look at him go.
Those are people loving you.
Oh.
Say, all right. See?
Yep.
Hi. You are twins.
Hello.
We can see everybody. Hi,
Hello, beautiful people.
everyone. Okay. Time for you.
Don't miss me.
Settle in.
Pick that any time of the day or night.
All the times of the day. Hi, everyone. Beautiful. Okay. Oh, from the beach in Barbados. We're coming. We're flying. We're joining you.
Wonderful.
Yes, twinsies. So we'll address that. My mom is stunning and radiant and beautiful, and she's all of the things that I came from. And yeah, this is my mommy. So
This
super
is my
excited to share
baby.
with you. My darling mother is only 22 years older than me, so that's that difference. That's why she gets to be my older sister everywhere we go, or my younger sister sometimes. Doesn't she? She does look like amazing.
Oh.
Way more like sisters.
You're
than mothers
super
and daughters.
sweet.
We'll
Thank
just
you
hang
so
out
much.
and read compliments about my mom for an hour.
It has a lot to do with having such love in your life, and the blessing that I have sitting to my left is just helps me so much. And sometimes it feels like 22 years, and sometimes it feels like 22 minutes. So
our difference from each other.
Yeah.
Time's all made up anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah, time is irrelevant. So
Okay, well, you guys gave us 1, 2,
lots of questions.
3, 4, 5 pages of questions. There's more than we'll ever get to. But the cool thing is that showed us that you want to see more of my mom.
Right.
So do I.
That's exciting.
So my mom is normally in Minnesota. So she's at the end of her visit here in California with me, which is sad. And we keep planning on filming something a little more formal for you. I have all these classes in mind and so many beautiful things to do with our bodies and our feelings and our senses and our everything. And so, you got to send so much love that it forces her to get back on an airplane over and over and over again, so we can just keep
I'll be back.
doing
And
this.
we can do one from Minnesota too, from the lake, from the woods. Be really great.
Next step is to convince her she needs an Instagram so I can actually link all of you to her, and you can then hire her for all of her amazing things.
Oh.
But today I'm just going to steal all of her wonderfulness and share it with you anyway. So we're just going to dive in because there's a ton of questions, and really I have no idea what we're going to get into. We'll see what you drop in here. Feel free to tell us everything that you want to see, and if we don't get to it today, we will get to it in general. So show us all of what you'd like. But there was a lot of questions to begin with just on my mom and what she does. So when I've talked about her before, she is the magical, wonderful woman who, when my skin just turned inside out as a child and everything became awful and scary to touch, she would take me down by the river, and we'd pull clay out of the river, and we'd mix it with plants, and we'd mix it with honey, and we'd mix it with all the beautiful things. And she taught me that my skin was something to be celebrated and cared for and nurtured. And just because my skin was tricky and didn't behave the same way as other people in my life or in my friend group, especially as a young child and a teenager, when I was really, really struggling, and through my early 20s when my skin was just falling off. Just looked like I walked through a radioactive spider web. And through the extremes of that, my mom got it because she came from similar skin.
I
Her
personally
father-
know the radioactive skin. Yeah. And the way I like to think about our skin as a blessing is it does not allow us to live a life that's too rough on ourselves, and it doesn't allow chemicals in. So it just puts a stop. 16% of our body is our skin for the most part, and we're upwards of 30 trillion cells doing 7 basic things of life, each of them all the time. And so there's so much going on. And then when we put chemicals into our system, then the messages start getting mixed. And then the harshness comes and the redness, and our skin just went, no, we can't have that. So, and not all plants are friendly to everybody either. So I've had some of that. I've had dandelion burns.
I can't use aloe vera. So
yeah.
Natural isn't always better, but what I learned was, as a child, I learned what wouldn't harm me. And so it was very simple. It was very, very back to basics. The most simple cleansers, the most simple oils, and then things that we would actually actively mix, which became my potion path. But as I've gotten older, there's just so much more to it. There's so much more technology and so much more access to ingredients, to the best ingredients, to different forms of ingredients, different forms of processing that make things more and more compatible for all kinds of people, both with challenged skin and with just healthy skin that needs to be maintained and loved on delightedly. Maybe I'll skip to a question. This is a funny one. Because the first one that I have down is, what exactly does a body worker do? Which can go into a lot of places, but my mom, as a body worker, specifically brings different things to the table than if I just defined body worker for you. So I'm going to let you answer that, but there was a few other things. So I'm just going to say some of these, and then you can see where you land. Someone asked, are you a green witch like your daughter?
Oh.
Which, that's the first time I've heard myself called a green witch. So
I thought that was great. Yeah, green witch is wonderful.
How and where did your mom learn energy healing, mottos that you and she lives by? How did you get into what you do? How do you look younger than me?
Oh.
Tips, please. Is your skin as sensitive as maize? Do you use the problem solver in the clean dirt? People want to hear about Minnesota. A lot of people from Minnesota.
Awesome.
Wondering how the upbringing there helped inform your outlook. So,
well,
tell us some things.
I'll
about
kind of
yourself.
start with the Minnesota. I met May's dad when I was 16, and we wrote letters to each other for a year, and then I moved I was always a country girl. Loved the woods and the streams, and you couldn't hardly find me in the house. I'd be out early in the morning, that was just where I was happy. I'm still that way. She'll attest to that. Where's mom?
She's hard to pin down. That's why I can't get her to LA. She's usually in Minnesota on a horse or in a field or in a forest or on a lake.
But anyway, so then I moved up there with her dad, and then we were very young, and we decided to kind of live the simple life in the woods, and we built a house, and we actually learned to make soap and candles and raised the bulk of our food, and we traveled to Mexico mostly in the winter. Even when they were little, they came along, and so that's just kind of the background.
Much of that was hitchhiking and about as bare bones as you could make it. It was
pretty bare bones on purpose. Yeah,
landers.
building the house. Yeah, kind of the classic back to the land type of movement that seems to actually be making a comeback again, which makes me really happy, because happiness is where the home is and the hearth is, and comes from good food and good friends, and doesn't have to be all fancy, and good products, amazing. As far as the skincare goes, like, she has just taken the elements of the earth of which that we are made of. And I think that's what humans forget, that how much earthlings we are. We're made of carbon and minerals and salts, and our lymphatic system is amazing. It's such a cleanser. And so she makes things out of that, and has since she was a child. And I think I was kind of a potion maker too, without a doubt. And she came along, and then she really made a lot of potions and a lot of messes. So
still true.
That creative sensitivity is like turns to magic genius somehow. Anyway, so as a body worker, I actually like to think of myself as a harmonizer and a balancer. So our body starts to get out of harmony or out of balance, and it needs some input. It needs sometimes some gentle care. Sometimes it needs some deeper work. I, for the most part, am a myofascial therapist. I don't know if you've heard of that. You know, myo meaning muscle, fascia, our continuous connective tissue that is our collagenous system throughout our whole body that ties us all together. You know, so without that system, we'd just be a heap of bones laying on the ground, wishing that we had some fascia to, you know, move us and get us motivating and tie us together and all that. So I'm a myofascial therapist. That's really easy to look up. Myo and fascia. And it's not facial. People want to say myofascial all the time, but you can do it on the face, which I do also myofascial facials, which is super fun. I call it taking off the mask. So that's part of how we get these beautiful, you know, where you're not looking like you're 90 when you're 60. So anyway, so that's helpful.
Maybe you can show us some of that a little later.
Myofascial release is super slow. It looks like your grass growing.
Actually, someone just asked, do you believe in gua sha for the face neck?
Oh,
I have feelings about it all.
It depends upon like your skin texture. My face wouldn't really like gua sha. It likes more tapping, fluttering, you know, light smoothing, and it likes its squeezes. Like this is a perfect squeeze place all along the top here, all along the jaw. So the muscular parts of the face like that kind of thing, but gua sha is actually to bring circulation, and I think in the face there's other ways to bring circulation, but it can help for some people. I love gua sha, like on my tendon points and backs, and yeah, I just did some yesterday for someone, and they were going and it really brings up the blood flow, so it's a great thing.
Yeah, I always think people ask about gua sha a lot, and one, I'm no expert on it, and I haven't trained in it, and so I'm not going to teach you it. But what I think is important is that we touch our skin, however that is. And so if using a tool like gua sha, if using any of the rollers or any of the tools or any of the buzzy things or any of the whatever, if it gets you excited to show up and touch your skin and love on yourself and be present for those couple of minutes at the bookends of your day, then it's fantastic, excellent, right. Super. If you can move beyond those tools or use those tools as a supporting piece of your ritual, and you really let your fingers get in there and get into the muscles, get into the bones, get onto the spaces and trace along so gentle in the lymph spaces, your fingers can detect everything, and they're investigating as you go. So if you run your fingertips along, say, your arm, right? You can feel where the skin is soft and silky. You can feel where it gets to the rougher spots and any kind of congestion, any kind of dead skin. You can feel if you have any, all of the things that you detect with your fingertips inform then how to care for yourself. So when I do that scan, say on the skin, start with clean hands. And after you have cleansed and rinsed, or if you're starting like this, I like to actually just saturate the skin so it's slippy. And then you can take your fingertips onto the waters. And as you graze your fingertips, you can go, oh, smooth. There's a little spot. There's a little spot. Where is the roughness? Where is the texture? And that informs what product you use. So if I'm feeling all slippy and glidey and perfectly clear, then maybe I'm really just wanting to go in with something really nourishing and add in the moisture, do a nice steamy pendulum potion cleanse, or plump up the skin with the honey mud, do something really just nourishing and wonderful. But if I'm doing that and it's like, oh wow, there's so many little areas of bumps and little bits of texture that you can feel, like if you could feel like grains of sand on your arm, you can feel those in your skin too when you start to pay attention. And so when you find that, that's when you know, up the problem solver, up the clean dirt, find your rotation, figure out what your best rhythm is, and we can help you with all of those things. So reach out if you want more there. Carry on, Mom, because this is all related. It's what I want
It's totally related.
to show is how the body does that the same way as the skin. That same kind of tuning into the touch, whether it's your actual body skin or whether it's for pain management. So many of you asked about all different kinds of things in just caring for the body beyond the skin itself. But I think what the skin does is inform you what's inside and what's happening in there.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes I do skin rolling on people where I pick up their skin and I roll it all around, and then underneath the skin will be like a turbulent point or some heat or something that's hard or tender, and the skin really helps show me. I also take the skin and I'll push it in all directions, and then it'll kind of hang up over here, and so the skin is like teaching me what's underneath. So yeah, back to what questions were we?
Yeah, let's move on, because I do want to get to where you can actually demonstrate some of these things, and especially for care of yourself. So we both work with people directly in a way where we can help an individual, show them what to do. But what gets exciting for me is not when she's touching someone and physically working with their body, but when they can take that home and apply that care to themselves. It's like the difference between going to a dermatologist or an esthetician or going to get a facial. Fantastic, wonderful, do that.
It teaches you what to do.
But then go home, and what is your daily care? What are your daily practices that let that live in you, let that live through you, live out of you, and you take it into the world instead of just being this thing that you dip into once a month or every 6 months or maybe once in a lifetime for many. So
when I do body work, I feel like I'm part of a team. I'm not really into just having people be super passive. Even if they look like they're sleeping, I want them to be engaging with me. I want their body, their soul. Sometimes things have happened in people's lives, so when they're touched, it's a break for them to just kind of relax and get out of the way. And I really like that too. But when they come to me for therapies in order to make like a big change in how their function is, I like to think of it as like we're on the same team. So when you have teammates practice on their own, and then you practice on your own, and then you come back together, and then you see what's been accomplished in the meantime, so you don't have to backtrack every time. So I think with self-care, whether it's doing your own body work or going to somebody and having them help you, like keeping up on that. We can do really good with our skin too for so long, and then we just, we have those weeks where we don't do a thing. We use Dad's palm olive.
No, we don't.
Well, we don't. we would not look too great after that. That green would probably just stay on there. I'm not sure what, but anyway, just keeping that flow going with yourself, and knowing that even when you're sitting, you're watching TV, you feel like you're just not doing anything. You can get in and work on your tendons. I like to do these kind of things because I do cross friction a lot on myself, because I'm a grabber and a puller for my work, and myofascial is like a cross hand releasing all the time. So I have to do a lot of work on myself. I also use balls. I use TheraBands, strengthening. Yeah, so there's just a wealth of information out there. It's just amazing. So we as practitioners are just here to help and be your team members in like a really good life, where you feel like you can get up every day and move and breathe and learn all kinds of things to just live that optimum life. And we're so lucky to have those choices. We are living a life where we do have some choices. Even if that means honey and avocado, that's a really good choice. We started mushing avocados, putting them with some clay and some honey. I know that she's done these kind of talks with you.
So I have told this story before, or maybe I have, of one of my very, very favorite memories with my mom is I think I was maybe 15, and we went on a road trip to Arkansas.
To dig crystals.
Is the most beautiful state. I had no idea until I road tripped through that
It's a great state.
And, okay, so it's when I was 16, 26, 30, my mom was 38. So my mom was my age when I was 16. That's wild to imagine. So picture my mother at my age with 16-year-old me on a wild road trip. So we went to all these different bars and played the jukebox bars. And
Jitterbug.
we'd just show up in these old country bars and we'd dance and make all kinds of trouble. And then we'd end up back at campgrounds. We would either sleep in her car or we would camp out. And this one time at a campground, we were there and there was nobody there. It was just a big campground in Arkansas. All beautiful trees and things, and we're camping, and there was one public restroom where you could go and you could have a shower. And so we had packed ourselves up. We'd spent a couple of days digging crystals in the clay in Arkansas, which was just such a powerful experience. I love crystals because they're pretty and shiny and make me feel happy. I don't know anything about them, not an expert on them, not going to teach you about them, but I love them. And so we'd spent this time in the crystals. So we were just all lit up with this
Fun
magic
trip.
of that. The time
it's just an excuse, like a road trip only needs one excuse.
And so
that one was, let's go dig the crystals up.
So we had this car full of crystals as a result of that. And then we also had this car full of bags of clay. So we had bags of clay that these crystals had been in. So we had a chunk of this beautiful red mineral-rich clay that we took down to the river. And so we went down to the river. We were probably having a little blackberry brandy or something. Something that you
she
do.
turned 16. It was her birthday.
And sitting down by the river, covering our whole bodies. So we just took off all of our clothes because there's nobody there. We're in the forest. So we take off all of our clothes. We're covering ourselves in this red clay. Now we're just two completely wild people because we're naked, covered head to toe in red
hair,
clay, through our
covered
hair,
in clay,
through everything. So it was just funny and hilarious, and that would have been a wonderful enough memory on its own. But then we, after everything had dried, we walked up to the bathrooms, naked and still covered in clay, thinking there's nobody around. So we're in the bathroom, and suddenly the park maintenance man walks in.
And he sees us.
Walks in to what seems like an empty, closed park bathroom, and there was a sight. There was a sight.
Sight to be seen. Yeah.
Anyway, so there was lots of things like that and times like that where we took something that could have been painful, right? As a teenage girl, at that age, what was happening was I didn't have acne at that age. I had rashes. I had dermatitis. I had eczema. I had crazy blisters all over my hands, all over my arms. Really, really sensitive. Everything was falling apart. And meanwhile, my teenage friends were saving up their allowance and going to Target and buying face masks and figuring out their own skin. And I had lots of friends who had acne and were dealing with that. And so there's just this big skin conversation going on. And I didn't even feel like I could participate for a long time because they were trying all kinds of products that I knew I couldn't use. I couldn't even use the hand soap in the bathroom. And so everything that they were putting on their skin was just off-limit territory for me. And I had already felt like I was a pretty quiet kid. I was pretty introverted. And I grew up in a really, really small town. And I was didn't ever feel like I fit in. And so that was just one more piece that could have been painful and ended up being the path to something more powerful than teenage insecurity. It ended up being really what showed me that constraints are powerful. Constraints anywhere are powerful. Constraints in a business, constraints on what you say you're going to do, what your ethics are, what you stand behind. Anytime that you remove all of the options and you say, this is where I'm going, everything gets easier and more clear. And for me, when I figured out that I didn't have to be scared anymore of my skin, that my skin was not a liability. It was nothing wrong with me. It was just this way of receiving messages from my body that were for me. They were for me. The whole time those messages were for me. And my whole life, anything that's shown up in my skin has shown up there for a reason. It's not just because I used the wrong product. Obviously that happens for me.
Stress.
But it's a larger thing. It's that product doesn't work because everything else is out of balance for you. Or maybe that is just my skin and I can't use that. Fine. It opened up an entire world of other ingredients in this whole path that has all of you here with me. It just wouldn't have happened if I hadn't just turned inside out in my skin and struggled so much and had so much pain around that. I wouldn't have had the motivation to learn everything that I did and to be so focused on efficacy. Because so much perception of natural skincare, of organic skincare, of plant-based skincare, of using ingredients like I use, the assumption is it smells nice, it feels nice, you get this beautiful spa experience, wonderful, but also that it doesn't do anything, that there's no results there. And it's just simply not true. For one, that is the only area that I've ever received results, was using ingredients that actually truly resonated with my skin. Not true for everybody. Your skin isn't my skin, and so I create for my skin with the hope that people like me will find me here. And that's it. That's all that I can do in the world. I can't create for something that isn't mine to make. I can't help what I don't know. And anyway, wanted to share those pieces because this has been a lifetime. People ask me how I got into this. People ask my mom how we got into this. And I feel like when my mom talks about who she was as a little girl and the way in which she played and she explored, there's so much overlap that I see with how I was raised and how I looked at the world and looked at my relationship to the air, to the earth, to the people and the animals and the life, the rich life of this.
It's like being with your authentic self. And like I said before, your authentic self is part of the earth and part of the energy of the sun. And all these things come together, and we're just lucky enough to be here and experience it all. And it can be simple. It doesn't have to be hard to be your authentic self. And you're going to have days where you're not going to know who that self is or where she even went. Like, left the room or left the house. But, yeah, so.
So I don't know about you, but that's how I come back. When I leave the room, when
Right.
I go off into fear or smallness or self-doubt or just not knowing what the next step is or where my path is. I certainly, 2021 was that year for me. I had several months of I just curled up in a ball and really couldn't function for a period of months. And what happened during that period is that I got more invested and more committed to all the tools that I had, because I had to reach for all of them. And when everything's just going along all hunky-dory, then you're good. You don't need anything. You drink some water, you get some sleep, you try and live with as much joy as you can and gratitude as you can, the simple things. But when you're really struggling and when you're hitting every wall and all of that fear and insecurity creeps in, then sometimes we need more. And for me, that was when I actually turned, the last couple of years, I've been turning to my body more. I spent the last many years with my skin, and primarily this part being such a big relief for me. Those few minutes in the morning, those few minutes at night, treatments where I fit them, just those little pockets of time were really beneficial. But I feel like my actual care of myself and my delight in caring for myself didn't come until I got into the body, which is a lot more recent. And
it's so fun in here.
It's cool because I've been so facial skin focused for the last decade, working on this, company and sharing space with all of you. I sort of felt like a floating head.
Right.
And when I started working on the Happy Galaxy, it was such an opening back into the delight of the head to toe experience and how that ties into everything else. And when I started being in my body more, being more physical, doing more yoga, doing more breath work, doing more tapping, doing more everything, dry brushing and massage and all of this stuff, it also made me feel like I needed to spend more time with my mom, because I feel like we share the same language and approach, but we spend so little time together, and then we get together and she'll talk about something and I'll go, I say it like that or like that's where it comes from. And so it's just a really fun thing for me to be coming back into body, which is really where I came from. Like it started from body and I had to go full circle. Okay, so I want to talk so much tough stuff happening in the world and in people's lives. And so a lot of questions like this. I want to talk for a minute about caring for ourselves in these more trying times. Here's some questions. Any self-healing movements for anxiety? I'd love to hear about your favorite healing modalities for trauma and body image. Simple self-applied body work for anxiety. A tip to accept ourselves as we are. What tips to prevent burnout in general, but also when caring for someone else. How do you envision yourself as a healthier person you want to be without body distortion and dysmorphia? How to keep a positive mindset. Would you please have your mom share her own body integration theories as you do with skin and explore the link between the two, which is really what I was saying. Great question.
So I actually got into doing massage therapy because of my mother's anxiety. So my mom was bipolar. Back then they called it manic depressive, I guess, and other things. As I've learned more, sometimes I feel like maybe her medicine was mismanaged and a lot of her problems came from that. I've learned a lot about that. But the one thing that helped her a lot is I would get into bed with her because she wouldn't get out of bed. So I would get into bed with her and she had a lot of pain. And now we also know that depression causes pain. It's a painful thing. It's not just emotionally painful, it's physically painful. So she would say that her neck hurt or her back hurt, and then that's why she didn't want to get up. And I know it's a lot for a small kid to handle. I think I maybe was in 3rd or 4th grade when I started doing this. But I found if I gave her a massage, I got behind her, and then the lotion probably wasn't great for me that I used because I had a lot of rashes back then, but I would give my mom a massage and she would get up and say that she felt a lot better and how great that was. And it's like she saw me then like as someone that was helpful and not just like trying to get something from her, but I learned that I could give something that could help somebody that I loved. So I kind of carried that through, and I always was fascinated by bones and skin and muscles, and I collected little skeletons, and I just love that kind of stuff. So it was great for me. I also gave my brothers massages, which they actually paid me for like $1. So that was pretty neat. I was kind of an entrepreneur at an early age. And so I find that the massage therapy, cranial sacral therapy, myofascial therapy is so amazing for trauma and healing and coming back into the body as we step out of the body when we're traumatized. And that's one reason we don't take care of ourselves. We get traumatized and we just like leave it behind. We're kind of like the Walking Dead. So part of the way I look at my work is I ask to be invited in. You know, please invite me. Let's see what we can accomplish together. And So I think it's very helpful for trauma work. It's helpful for coming back to your body, coming back to yourself. Like May says, just that moment of going and being in the mirror and saying hello and putting something beautiful smelling up to your face and onto your face. It's just brings us back to what's important, which we have to kind of start here to be able to go out into the world and to share anything. So with that, I kind of carried forward, and when I wanted to go to school for massage, there really wasn't much available, and where I lived in northern Minnesota, it was kind of like, ooh, massage, what kind of weirdos are going to come in and get a massage in Pequot Lakes, and it's like, I don't know. So I went to physical therapy school, and I actually did that for a long time, and in the 90s, I got my massage therapy too. And so then it was great to be able to put together the physiology and the function of the body and all those kind of movement things and stuff with feel good massage therapy. And I learned lymphatic drainage, which is so wonderfully purifying for your body, for your face, your skin. We need it, these teeny tiny little capillaries moving into these trunks and these rivers, and then going to the kidneys and flowing through, and just keeping everything moving. It's still super fascinating to me, so I'm fascinated all the time. And so let's see what else. Self-applied body work for anxiety. Well, breath is definitely part of the body. So if you can just learn to start watching your breath and seeing what your breath is doing, and when it's going and you're getting worried, if you can even just slow down your breath a little bit, that's really good. A really common point that's easy to work with, that nobody even has to know you're doing it, and this is really good for headaches. It's a point right between your pointer finger and your thumb, that thick kind of web in there. And if you just hold on to that as we sit here, just give it a minute to 3 minutes of just like a continuous pressure.
It's normal for it to be really tender.
Yeah.
To actually hurt.
I tell people sometimes to take like a pencil with the eraser on it and just lean on it like that. Some people don't have a good pincer grip, and so they get tired. So will just kind of do that. Another place for that is this right here, and you'll naturally see people doing these things without even knowing. Mm-hmm. So this up here is kind of a confluence of a lot of nerves, cranial nerves and the like that come from there, and also right under the nose, this little spot. These are all spots, like plus it'll just make you have some humor because it seems funny when
this is one of my favorite spots to massage. It looks absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's really hard to actually get a grip on this lip tissue, but this area gets so sore that one of my favorite actual areas, I'm not in the shower. If I was in the shower, I would just get my hands wet. Since I'm not, I'm just going to put a little bit of water in this bowl. So you can just you would do this with clean hands, but you can do it in the shower. You can actually put your fingers inside of your lips and go against the teeth.
Right.
See? Told you it looks really ridiculous. But if you get in there and you can actually massage these, it helps to close your eyes so that you don't have to see yourself looking ridiculous. But if you get in there, you'll notice these lip tissues get really tender and sore, and you can put your thumb along your actual teeth and massage along the gums, massage along the inside. If you have TMJ.
Yeah. The TMJ joints, so your maxilla is here, your mandible is here. Our strongest muscles are right here that open and close your jaw. And so if you get right in there, I call them the Tom Cruise muscles, because Tom Cruise has like really big masseters, and his actually go like that. So he really needs like these massaged if anyone runs into him. Anyway, so yeah, you can just really kind of deeply rub in there, knowing that those are big muscles, big strong muscles. Also up here in your temporalis, and that temporalis is a muscle that wraps your whole ear. and comes and kind of holds together these cranial bones. So you can really meet that collagenous barrier in there too. And it's going to be kind of sore. So it's going to kind of look like this.
Yep.
It's just
it's like, more pressure than you would think.
It's not rubbing on the skin. It's
the bone.
Getting the collagen that's on those bones. Yeah.
That's actually really important is you're not trying to move you're not rubbing the actual skin, whether on your face or if you're doing a body part. You're not moving over the skin. You're actually keeping the skin set and moving underneath the skin.
And you can pick up and move to another spot. But yeah, on the face, you'll know if it's too much. The face itself doesn't like a lot of dry rubbing.
No,
it
doesn't like dry rubbing.
And it doesn't. It loves jasmine garden mist. But so those are some good points. So those ones, this one, in here, and it also takes you away from your thinking. So now we're breathing, now we're touching ourselves, we're helping those points. Also in your ears, like just doing the same thing there, going all along your whole ears and just really getting in and just like rubbing in there. So back of the neck, getting those fingers and just doing that too. I know you're all doing this, right?
Totally. No one's just sitting here watching us, right? You have to be participating.
Someone asked about energy burnout. So keeping your body healthy and making good choices for your life, that will help your energy more than anything. Going out, getting fresh air, getting out of the house, getting away from the screen, that all helps your energy. If you're a body worker or someone that works with people, like I do, I work with a lot
Look at all those hearts.
a lot of
caregivers here.
A lot of veterans I work with, and children with behavioral problems and autism and things like that. So it's very easy for me to feel like at the end of the day, like, oh my gosh, I can't do anything. So I do, I don't know if any of you have gone to a Reiki practitioner, those kind of folks that do therapeutic touch, do cranial sacral therapy, do Reiki. It's wonderful to go to them. And it's also like something I do is I do kind of a heart and hara and just get myself together between each person. And then I will put on these beautiful golden or silver gloves that just allow me to I can connect in there with them, but I'm also
golden or silver gloves. What
yeah.
are you talking about?
I
want to know about it.
I just put them on. I see and feel them, and I can work through them. They're not like you can't see them. There's like little auras maybe you could see. They're not. Yeah. So that is
magic
my
gloves.
It's like I set up my protection so that I can fully be there with my person without being worried about like being dead at the end of the day, because that's not what I'm there for. So and if you're feeling good, you're taking pretty good care of yourself, and you're doing body work, you can actually be gaining energy as you go. Like your little mitochondria in the cells are just gaining energy. And so it's an amazing thing. People say, how do you do that? In April, it's going to be 32 years of this professional career, which is shocking to me that I did anything for 32 years, but except be a mom.
That was easy.
Longer than that. Yeah.
This question was just so beautiful. Any words or insight into healing a mother wound and finding peace with the feminine energy?
So I'm not exactly sure what you mean by mother wound. When you say that, it just kind of comes to my mind because I feel like with my mom, it was kind of.
I feel like it ties into this too. Someone else asked, how to embrace breaking generational trauma. Yeah. And that can look like so many different things, even if you're close. even if you're close in your family, there's like, my mother has given me generational trauma, the same as she's gotten some from her mother and father and all the people before her. That's just something that we do. I'm passing on surely buckets of fun things for my children to sort through over their life. So
I feel like generational trauma is something that we learn compassion from. If we do not gain compassion for those that have gone before us and went through so much, then we are missing that piece. If we are spending energy and time being a victim, that victim may I can't even say that right now. Okay. I saw all them hearts and I got nervous. So when we make ourselves a victim, we just like wear ourselves out with that so fast, and then there's no room for compassion. So when I was in it with my mom and she was having such struggles, I didn't have the tools to know exactly what to do. I became a body worker and an energy worker, and that's really helped me understand. And so if you need someone to help you do that, by all means, it's worth the money that you pay to go have someone help you find your compassionate self and get through that. I also did some work with heart-centered therapy. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. Alea Chickley is an amazing teacher. So
how do you spell that?
ALAYCHICKLEY, Alea Chickley. She turned from surfer girl to this amazing energy healer, and her husband is a French lymphatic doctor, and that's who I kind of learned my lymph work from, Bruno Chickley. So that's a whole, you can find those names through the Upledger Institute. I think they work through there. Anyway, so there's definitely people to help you kind of go down that tunnel. And I had to go down that tunnel and see the suffering that my mom really went through, not the suffering that she caused others by her absence or her inability to be there. So when I look at that now, I just like, oh, I wish she was still alive so I could just share that with her, what I've learned to how to be more compassionate and hopefully just be a better person. I'm just becoming softer as I get older in all the ways. But yeah, so anyway, so help yourself learn those tools and just get to the basis of what your feelings are.
I think even just the directionality of that is important. When things are hard, it's really easy to turn inside and to have the brain chatter get really loud and the self-critic get really loud, and all of that stuff just gets all tangled up with feeling like we can't make a difference in the world, or we can't change anything, or we can't help anyone, or we just all of that, carrying all of that is non-helpful, but a very, very human way to be. And when we operate from the other part of being human, which is so much empathy, so much compassion, it's the reason our hearts break wide open. It's the reason we want so much to do all the things and help all of the people and heal all of the world and, stop all the madness. We want that because our empathy is actually very finely tuned and is on. Mm-hmm. And so if we can take that instead and put it from a place of gratitude and compassion and active giving back, then it takes the focus off of yourself and all of the noise and all of the chatter. And it's when you start putting something beautiful and good out into the world, and it can be through your work, which I try to do that as much as I can through my work, but there's so much more to us than our work. It's going next door to your neighbors. Do they need anything? Bring them a loaf of bread. See if people want to come have a cup of coffee with you, reach out to a friend, text somebody, check in on someone that you haven't been in touch with, send a letter to somebody, it will blow their mind. Invite a girlfriend over to do your skincare together, just your normal skincare. Do it on Zoom together. Do something that it can just be tiny little things you're going to do anyway, but there's a way to approach it that can feel a little bit better, and sometimes it's a little bit silly. one of the coaches that I worked with is teaching me to play because I don't know, it's not always the most natural mode for me.
I can hear it now. Mom, no! Because I'm dragging her somewhere
very,
do
very
something
much
crazy.
A homebody in a house full of wild people, and so that time alone was really precious. But now where it shows up is I'll be working and I'll just lose all motivation, every email, every Slack, every thing that I have to do, even if on the other side is something I really want to do. I want to answer that Slack. I want to answer that email. I want to do all of the things that my day holds, but the energy just gets lost. And so I end up like this, and I'm all scrunched over my phone or scrunched over my laptop where I'm talking and I'm tired and I'm fried. It's just the burnt out too much. And so what I'm learning is something that's playful and silly, and you have to just try it on. So instead of just being like, there's 34 more emails until I can finish my day. And so you're in that. It's, you get out your magic wand, or you put on your magical gloves, and you bring some magic to it, and you go, voila, I did that email and that email and that email and that email, and now that's done. And it's the same thing. You're going to do the 34 emails one way or another. And so you can be grouchy about it.
Those emails.
They're
and that's
actual.
What's so cool about it.
So when you do the magic, then you can picture
it.
the people. You can picture the room of people. You can picture 34 people standing in a room going, I love you. Send me a message. And then when you come in with your magic wand and you answer the things, the whole feeling is different. And if you can just send one email, one text message, one letter, one phone call, one something with the energy of giving, with the energy of overflowing love, with the energy of abundance, with the energy of I've got you, with the energy of I am also your cheerleader, with the energy of I will meet you here. I will meet you here is what you were saying to life. And
but also
doing that convinces yourself that you can meet yourself there too, because I don't believe it. I don't believe that I can show up in that email because I'm curled up in a ball. But when I bring the magic and I approach it from this place of, made up joy, just made up joy, just pull it out of the magic bag and try it on and put it on, it's so silly that it brings actual real joy. So yeah, just try that today. When you go to send your next email, see what happens if instead of just sending it, you bring a little fairy wand.
And also know when the ball is necessary, when that curled up ball is necessary, and that it's okay, and that it might be 15 minutes that you need that break, or get up, go out, walk, take a little breath of fresh air, pick a flower. It's spring here. It's so beautiful. And you want to love the perfect life that you've made. So you have to feed it. You have to take care of it. You have to nurture it. And because we can get taken over by all the things that we have to do, where there's more information in the world than there's ever been. And we can't check it all. We can't see it all. We can't do it all. At the end of the day, we are just human beings, and we get tired, and we just need to be kind. So
to ourselves first.
And the magic wand is actually a really good tool.
The magic wand is the
I
best
think
thing
green
ever.
witches have them.
Green witches certainly have that, and since
I know where one is. There's one actually downstairs.
You've all said we're green witches. I'm just going to go with it and roll with it. These are just fun. Give us a funny story about May as a child. What was the strangest, most creative thing that May did as a child?
Oh my goodness.
I'm nervous.
Well, to come up with one thing, because she was always creating these crazy things. She wanted to have the tall, skinny glasses to make parfait things, but the parfait could be ground acorns at the bottom as the base, and then it could be like bananas, and then it could be, and it might be edible, it might not, parts might be, it might not, and they'd always look pretty. It would always look super pretty. So I remember just making all these things. And then one day I was looking for her, like, where is she? She's not reading her book. She's a little bookworm, reading a book. Where is she? and I went out by the pole barn where the horses were, and she had made a nest out of the hay. Like it was a nest, and she's sitting there on the nest. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm sitting on my eggs. I'm like, really? Okay. So she gets up, and there was those little plastic Easter eggs, and she's just out there sitting for the longest time, and she's just totally fine that way. She's good. She's a good meditator. She's just yeah. So that was a funny day, because when I was a girl, I used to make nests out of mud. I made kind of a robin's type nest, and I think lots of kids like make mud pies and everything, but I would make nests. So when I saw her like and made this big giant, like an ostrich sized nest she's sitting on, that was pretty cute. We also had a big daisy field, and if you're a horse person, you know that if you get too many daisies and too many dandelions in your hayfield or your pasture, that means it's acidic and it actually needs some pH change. But we couldn't bear to cut down all the daisies, because she would have cried so hard. She would have just like, what are you doing? I would just like take the daisies and put lime, put lime in the soil in order to make it like more pH happy. But daisies like it acidic, so we kind of left those. So those were just some things about May. And I really felt for her with her skin, because when I was a kid, I had terrible rashes on my face, like pizza face and hands. And there wasn't a lot of products, or there wasn't a lot of help with that too. So I always really got her. I think we get each other as people. We understand each other, and we like to have fun. Like our love language together is quality time, I think. This is a quality time right now. I was nervous about it, but here I am, right next to her. We're having a quality time. So
we get small pockets of concentrated time together.
We do.
We live in opposite states. We don't talk on the phone very much. We're not the best at that. But when we come together, we'll take a road trip, or we'll take a few days together, and we'll just fully have that time together.
Right.
And I know that's just the most unbelievable gift that we could have, is just that
we just
concentrated time.
Hang out. And now at our ages, it's I'm not trying to teach her anything. I'm not trying to train her. I'm not trying to point her in a direction or wish she would go to college or any of those things. I'm just in awe of her as the person that she is, and it's been a lovely experience to be her mother. So
there was so many of you over the last few days since I shared that my mom would be joining me on here that have shared your own challenges with your own mothers, both in terms of just challenging relationships, but also so many of you who've lost your mothers recently or someday. And I just want to thank you for sharing that and for welcoming us in this way. There was so many of you who just left the most unbelievably kind and generous notes of welcome to my mom to meet us here in this space. Only having an hour with you in this format is hard, and so there's just so much more to share.
We could do it again.
We could do it again because we didn't really touch ourselves or show you any of the techniques or things, and so we will do more. And how we do that, we'll see. But this was just really so lovely, so lovely,
super fun.
So I think we're going to end here, because I don't want it to hang up on you without us doing so. I've seen all of your questions. We will save this in the replay. And it's just the best. So many beautiful comments. We can't get to them all, but wow, okay. Is there anything you're doing to keep your neck looking so young?
My neck.
It's true. All the massage.
Well, yeah, I actually do what's called rhythmic stabilization, because I actually cracked my neck at one point. I was in an accident, and I had a lot of neck problems. So I do a lot of resisted pushing, and I think that helps. You can see where the muscles, those are sternocleidomastoid
Should I get her to make a video and open her own Instagram so you can all find her? Yes? Yes.
Yeah. So I teach people how to keep their necks so your neck is strong, and lots of strengthening exercise actually, and range of motion. Got to keep moving.
Keep moving, keep showing up for yourselves, bring the energy, move your bodies, shake it all out, smell the things, taste the things, hear the things, use all of your senses, come back to your senses. It's where all of the good stuff is. Yes to Mom on Instagram, amen, thank you. And I'm gonna get her back here. I love you all, I thank you all. I'm so grateful for this time, I'm so grateful for this community. I will see you next week, if not before.
Blessings.
Blessings.